That's why I say you ought to be ecstatic. You ought to be jumping through the roof, But it also, let's talk about this for a second. It takes time, right? It takes time, just like it takes time for things for the 3D realm to catch up, for things to appear in the 3D realm after it's happening in the spiritual realm, the astral realm, the ethereal realm. Also, your consciousness has to catch up. Your emotions, your physical 3D, your physical emotions has to catch up with, also has to regulate itself, because you've been fighting flight for so long. You've been in war. The drums, I said yesterday, I was telling a brother that the drums of war have been beating for a long time. Only a few answered them, but they've been beating for a long time. And so the drums of war, you're so used to dancing to that vibration. You're so used to operating out of that frequency, even though you didn't even fully understand what you were doing. You didn't understand that that's what you were operating. Every move that you made really was in response to a war that you were fighting that you didn't even know you were in. If you're a true chosen one, and if you're a true light worker, that's how your life has been orchestrated. You were dancing to the drums of war and didn't even realize it. The decisions you made on a daily basis were all a decision that were made in the higher realms, in the astral realms, in the ethereal realms. Those decisions you had already made in those realms. It just, they just came down to the third dimension. And then of course, because they wiped our memory out and we couldn't fully connect to our higher selves in the higher realms. We didn't know why we were doing what we were doing. A lot of us have been faced with drug addiction. A lot of us have been faced with incarceration, mental health problems and issues that were not of our own. Those were, like I said before, those were instruments of chaos, and they were instruments to stop your progression. Now, of course, we transmute energy. So we all those things that were used against us, we use them to ascend and to come up out of. But that's not what they were meant for. They were meant to destroy us. But we transmute energy. That's who we are. And so we use those things to ascend. We transmuted all the negative energy. Just like when people give you all the evil eye and they look at you and they listen to you and they just fill with hate because they can't fathom why you have come to shut down their system of things, because they like to live in the depravity of lack and being in chaos, and being being against instead of incorporate, or instead of being integrated into the system of peace, love, harmony. They can't understand. They go against everything that the Most High stands for. They go against it totally. They're the polar opposite. So they can't understand those things.